What would you do if you made your child a life-changing offer? They turned it down, and then came back years later demanding the cash equivalent? In today's story, my choice was a masterclass in handling entitled demands. My life took a sharp turn a few years ago after my dad passed away. Not long after we lost him, my mother suffered a disabling stroke, and I had to make the difficult decision to move her into an assisted living facility. This was all happening in my hometown, a place about 500 miles away from where I'd built my own life for many years. As co-owner of my parents' house, I knew my mom wouldn't be coming home again. Thus began the long, arduous process of managing the property from a distance. I cleaned out a lifetime of memories, poured money into extensive repairs, and made sure all the taxes and insurance were paid on time. To keep it from looking deserted, I set lights on timers, paid to have the grass cut and bushes trimmed, and even had neighbors park in the driveway. Eventually, my mom's health declined further, and she passed away. During this period, my daughter, Chloe, was in high school, with her eyes set on college. She was considering my alma mater, which happened to be an excellent university right there in my hometown. Seeing a unique opportunity, I made her a proposition. If she chose to go there, she could live in my parents' house, which by then was looking brand new. I told her I'd cover all the costs, utilities, landscaping, even her groceries. The house was in a beautiful, safe neighborhood, about a 20-minute drive from campus. It was completely updated with a remodeled bath, new HVAC and roof, high-end appliances, and fresh carpeting. The offer didn't stop there. I told her that if she graduated and chose to build a career in that city, which was booming with opportunities, I would give her the house, free and clear. The idea was to give her an incredible head start in life. By 22 or 23, she would own a beautiful home with zero debt to her name. She chose a different path. She enrolled in a very fine university in our home state, and we fully supported her decision. Chloe made a decision based on her own desires, completely unaware that this single choice would close the door on a life-changing opportunity she would later try to reclaim. After all, our ultimate wish was for her to graduate without any student debt, and we had funded her college account to ensure that. Since she wasn't going to use the house and it was simply too far for me to manage as a rental property, I sold it. The sale netted about $550,000, which I immediately channeled into other long-term investments. Chloe went off to college, and we noticed a shift. For years, I had advised her to choose a field she could be passionate about, one with real opportunity and growth. Instead, she chose what I privately considered a useless, generic major that was unlikely to lead to much success. But she's an adult, and it was her choice. When we spoke, I never talked it down, but I couldn't fake enthusiasm for it. She also became completely absorbed in the college experience, prioritizing campus fun above all else. Soon, our communication dwindled. At 19, she is a legal adult, but contact became minimal despite our best efforts to stay in touch. She started ignoring our calls and texts for long stretches. Then, last weekend, my phone rang. It was Chloe. She said she wanted to talk about the house issue. I was direct. Chloe, that ship has sailed. I told her. I sold the house. I don't own it anymore. I know that, she said, her tone sounding strangely rehearsed. But since you were willing to give it to me if I lived there during college, that offer should still be good even if I went to college somewhere else. This revealed Chloe's greatest fatal flaw at that age, her entitlement, a belief that a conditional opportunity could be converted into a cash equivalent on her own terms, which ultimately sealed her fate on the matter. She continued her prepared speech, explaining that I didn't have the expense of maintaining the house for 4 years while she was in school, and that the money I made from the sale was now invested in generating returns for me. She wasn't interested in the investment returns, she clarified, just the principal amount from the sale, minus any selling expenses. That seems fair to everyone, she concluded, as if she had just solved a simple math problem. It quickly became clear she was treating me like an ATM. As one commenter on my story later put it, you offer money for one thing, and they think that becomes their money to use as they wish. That hit the nail on the head. I couldn't help it. I laughed. It wasn't a warm laugh. It was a laugh of pure disbelief. I'll give you points for creativity, Chloe, I said, but the offer was very specific. And you turned it down. I reminded her that the offer was for a house, not the value of a house. We were still going to ensure she, hopefully, graduates debt-free, but I made it crystal clear, you are not getting a $500,000 check in your graduation card. My wife, Sarah, and I discussed it afterward, and we are in complete agreement. She reminded me that the house was part of my inheritance and ultimately my decision, but she agreed that my initial offer was incredibly generous. Another person online echoed the disappointment my wife and I felt, stating, "I'd be upset I brought up such a selfish entitled person." The audacity was truly stunning. My daughter had made her decision. It wasn't necessarily a bad one, and it didn't affect her negatively. She is still on track to graduate without debt, way ahead of many of her peers. It was simply a missed opportunity. Ultimately, the lesson here is that a conditional gift is not a blank check. Choices have consequences, and sometimes the most valuable inheritance is the lesson learned from a door you closed yourself. So, I have to ask, was I wrong to stand my ground? Or is it sometimes a parent's duty to let their children learn from the opportunities they miss? What would you have done in my situation?